Good morning. It's Wally back here, otherwise often called the Gunny. And today we're going to do a project. We're going to make a center, a 60-degree center, to go into our chuck, whether it be a 3-jaw, or a 4-jaw, or a collet chuck, whatever, just for turning between centers. Now I've got a workpiece here in the chuck already. It's about a little over 4 inches long. We're going to put a 60-degree center on one end, and then we'll have a little collar in the middle. It'll come up to a shoulder here, about a 1/2 inch collar in the middle, and then we'll have about a 1-inch shank, so they can go into a chuck. Or I'm going to use a 1-inch shank because it can also be put into a 1-inch 5C collet. So I'm going to start right now getting my tooling set up here. Okay. First thing I got to get is to get my tool post around here just right, and we want to get just about right here. I'm going to be coming up to a shoulder. I'm going to be bringing this down, and I'll be coming up to a shoulder here in about 1.5 inches, and then we'll come out and I'll demonstrate that. Let's see here. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to check my audio. I was having a little trouble with my audio, make sure my audio recorder's recording good. All right, so it's doing all right. Now, bring this in, bring this over here. Now I'm using a DRO on my machine, but you can do it just as easily with for years I just got the DRO put on here for about 2 years, and for the previous 38 years or so I used the Lathe verniers here, and there's a lot of things I would buy, and I'd recommend that people buy before going to a DRO. A DRO is a nice thing, but it's not absolutely necessary. All right, so let's get this thing turned on. I've got it set up for about 360 RPM, which with this a mild steel is just right for cutting in a pretty good finish. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on here. Now, first thing I want to do is zero out my lathe, zero out my DRO. So I'm just going to come in here. It just starts to okay. Now this is the x-axis. The axis is the crossflight travels. That's called the x-axis. I'm going to zero that. Now I'm going to go out here and zero the front part where I'm going to come into, and that's over there. First thing I think I'll do is I'll take a little cut across this face here. Just make sure just make sure that we've got a good clean. Okay, we'll just make sure we got a good clean thing coming across here. Excuse me. I'm wrestling a little bit with some the holdover from a cold a couple weeks ago, and now, of course, this time of year we've got problems with a lot of tree pollen. So excuse my cough. Anytime I put a new piece of work in, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to face off. And you notice I got a right-handed tool in here, but I got my angle of attack set for a facing cut. Don't be afraid to change your angle of attack on your tool holder. Hopefully most of you have got a quick change tool post. If you don't, the quick change tool post is certainly something I get long before I worried about getting a DRO. Okay. Okay. I try not to put my fingers in this stuff, so all right, we got that. Now I can zero that on the z-axis. That's the axis the carriage is going to travel, because I know that I just faced that off, so that's what that is. Now check my okay. You're going to have backlash in about on anything that's got gears. You're going to have to deal with some backlash. But whether you got a DRO or if you're just using the vernier on the cross slide and the carriage and the top slide, you'll get with not too much time, you'll get where you automatically take the backlash out. Now there's adjustments. Your lathe manual will tell you you can take the adjustments. You can adjust a lot of the backlash out. But even on the finest lathe, brand new, you're never going to get backlash to zero. Okay, so I'm ready for my first cut here. Now I know that starting at zero, I want to go in. My plan is to take this down. This is about about 1 3/4 inch, and I'm going to take this section about 1.5 inches down to 1 inch. So we'll dial in 100 thousandths here for my initial cut. Now I know that on this particular the way I've got this set up, that's 100,000 off the diameter. Okay, now I'm going to engage my carriage feed, power feed, and start that cut. I'm not using any coolant right now. I may turn on some coolant a little later, but right now I'm just cutting it dry with carbide tools, no problem. If it heats up on me, then I'll turn on the coolant. I use a water-soluble coolant, which helps to it keeps the work in the tool cooler and lubricated for a better finish and a lot longer tool life. Okay, so I'll watch the DRO here and wait till it comes right up to about 1.500, which would be 1.5 inches. So we're getting close there. And this measurement, okay. So I stopped at 9 1/1000ths over, and that's fine. Okay, now we'll dial in another 100 thousandths. Run the x-axis up to about 200 thousandths there. engage our feed again. Now, I've got two cameras on this operation, so I'll be switching back and forth between the two cameras. I've got this camera here in front and kind of a quarter angle. Then I've got over my tailstock, I got a second camera, and I hope to be able to show you what my hands are doing, plus a good view of what the cutting tool is doing. And I'd appreciate your comments as to just how good a job you think I'm doing with it. I got this external recorder, which allows me to, hopefully, testing anyway, my voice comes out above the sound of the lathe pretty good. Okay, we came in at 1.5 inches, so we'll dial in another 100 thousandths, up to 300 thousandths. Okay, and we'll make another cut. Always be careful. Be aware that on my lathe, yours may differ, but generally you pull up on the power feed handle for the carriage feed, the Z-axis carriage feed, and you push down the cross feed or X-axis. As you can see, taking off 100 thousandths a pass. We'll reduce this by 1/2 inch and about 5 passes. I was thinking about editing some of this out just so you wouldn't be bored with it. But we'll just see how it looks when I get it in the computer. It may not take too much time. All right, we're dialing in another 400 thousandths, or 100 thousandths to 400 thousandths. Re-engage the feed. The workpiece is starting to get a little bit warm, so I'll turn the coolant off here on this next pass so that we keep things cooled down. If you don't have a coolant system, guys get by with a spray bottle of coolant, a brush, and putting stuff on. I like the water-soluble coolant. I mix it. Some people, the directions might say 30 to 1. I mix mine about 3.5 to 4.5 to 1. All right, we're coming up on our 1.5 inches again. Okay, disengage. Now, I'm going to shut that down for a second, turn on my coolant, get that adjusted. All right. Now, I've got 2 nozzles on my cooling system. This nozzle back here, I'll use it for chambering, things like that, but I use it as kind of a regulator so that I'm not overtaxing the pump by just having this small stream. And when you set up your coolant, you want it to hit right where the junction of the tool, or the junction just where the tool is coming up on your workpiece. And you don't want it up too close to that chuck, otherwise the chuck's going to throw this stuff up in your face. You just need a little deal there. Now, all right, now let's get this started. It takes just a little bit to get this thing. All right. Now dial in another 100 to 500 thousandths, and that should put us getting pretty close to where we want to be. All right. Okay. Now you see that steam coming off that? maybe you can see the steam. But the carbide insert and the workpiece were starting to get just a little warm. I'm not sure you can see this on the camera, but the finish improves quite a bit with some coolant lubricant on there. I use Mobile Met S133. There's other ones, but that's one I use. It costs you, I think, about $90 or so for a 5-gallon bucket, but a 5-gallon bucket of it, you mix it 3.5, 4.5 to 1. It lasts me quite a long time. Okay, we're coming up to our 5 inches, or 1.5 inches there. 1.500. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick measurement on this thing. Long before I get real close to the thing, I'll take my calipers and get a quick measurement on it. Okay. Now, according to this, I got 185 thousandths to go to get down to my 1 inch. So, I'll take 100 off. I'll take another 100 off. Here. Okay, 100. So we're going to go to 6. All right, get it. Okay, there's 6. Now turn it back on. Re-engage. Now you see I'm throwing a little bit of coolant there. You can't get away from that. That's why you wear an apron or coveralls or something. This is not messy. This water soluble stuff. It washes off real easy. You don't feel all greasy. But we don't want to throw any more of it out here than we have to. All right, now I got to watch this closely till I come up to my 1.500. Like I say, that measurement's not critical, but I don't want to slam it into that shoulder we're making. All right, okay. Now I'm going to take off another 50 thousandths. I think I'll measure that again. It's always a lot easier to take it off than it is to put it back on. And we get my measuring thing here. Okay, so according to this, I'm about 93 thousandths away from my 1 inch mark. I got 1.09, so that's you say about 93 thousandths. So I'm going to take 50 thousandths more off. And see, okay, so I'll go to 650 this time. 650. All right. All right. Now, as we get closer to our 1 inch mark on this one, then we'll take some finer cuts, which will result in a better finish. By the way, for those of you that are sensitive to secondhand smoke, don't fear. I've got my secondhand smoke filters on both my cameras, so you're protected from that. Okay, we're getting close. We got 1.30 coming up on the 1.5 inch mark. You just watch it closely there. Okay, bring that up to about right. And all right, now I'll take another measurement here. Okay, I got 29 thousandths. So let's take 20 thousandths off here. I got 1.029. So we'll take 20 thousandths off here. So let's go up to about 6. We'll go up to about 6.72. Let's see what we're doing there. Okay, that's pretty close. All right, now we're back on. Okay. And it's a little difficult sometimes on these videos. Whenever you're using a lathe, you want to, if you're turning, you want to be paying fairly close attention to it. Otherwise, you'll get a crash. Which, even though I've been at this for 35, 40 years, I can still make big boo-boos. Okay, we're coming up on that 1.5, there it is. And all right. Okay, now let's get one more measurement in here. And we'll get one more measurement in here and just see where we're at. Okay, I'm at 1.008. So I'm going to take about 5 thousandths off that. I don't want to get under that because if I want this to be able to fit in a 1 inch 5C collet, if I decide to use this center sometime for some reason in my 5C collet chuck. So the diameter of this is kind of critical, though the length and stuff is not that critical. So I'll bring this in. Now I want to come in about 5 thousandths. So that means I'm going to I'll bring this up to 6.78, and that'll be about 6 thousandths. So I just come in to 6800. All right. Now we'll try that and see how that turns out. Okay. That's a pretty fine cut there. And we'll get a pretty decent finish off this. I sure hope this audio is good. While I'm looking, let me make sure the audio is still recording. Okay, we got about yeah, it's still recording right. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty fine swarfing, huh? Now just pay attention to it. Come up to my 1.5 inch mark. Getting there pretty quickly. All right, there it is. I'll just bring it up here. Now, we're going to do one more. We're going to do one more measurement here. That's pretty nice finish there. Okay, I got one point I'm about 11 thousandths. Yeah, no, I'm about 2 thousandths shy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my 1-inch collet to see if that's going to get it or not. You can be on a collet. You can be 3 or 4 thousandths high or low in your diameter. All right, so let's bring this in, and we'll dial in about 2 thousandths. So I'm going to go from 6/808. These are 10 thousandths out here. So I'm just going to go to about 6/803 and see if that doesn't do me right. Okay, get it about. All right, so that's just about right. Now let's turn that in, get a finished cut there. Now in this cut, I'm going to finish my profile down to the shoulder, and then I've got my angle of attack set where as soon as I finish on the x-axis, I can bring it out and clean this shoulder up to where the shoulder is absolutely perpendicular to my shaft here. So we got our thing set up. Now we just go to, all right. So this we're only taking off about maybe 3 thousandths. It's a nice, fine clean-up cut there. And that's getting a pretty nice finish on that. Okay, there it is. Now I'm pretty sure I've hit the mark, so I'm gonna take this and just bring this out by hand where I clean that thing up. Now that shoulder should be just parallel to that, or it should be perpendicular to the shaft with a nice clean shoulder there. Now let me do a final test on this thing. See if okay. So my collet is just a nice fit. So we've hit our 1-inch mark. Now I'm going to come back here and clean up. I'm going to have about a 1/2 inch shoulder here, so I'm going to clean that up. Then we'll turn it around here. Actually, I think I want to reverse this thing. Well, I'll just do that. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this in here, and I'm not really concerned about this. Okay, now I'll zero that again. I'm just in the habit of doing that. Bring this out to, okay. I'm going to zero this because I'm going to go in about 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch. All right, so let's just take off about, we'll take off about 30 thousandths just to clean that up. Okay, so I got .0030. Now I just do a little, I got that set to 0. And like I say, we'll make this shoulder about this collar here, about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch wide. And so that's a 1/2. Yeah, we'll go in here about, okay, that's plenty. Now, let's see if that was enough to clean this up. Now, you see, yeah, I've got that cleaned up pretty nicely. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch this around and turn down the end that we're going to put our, now anytime you put this chuck key in, as a safety matter, if you have to take your hand off of it, always take the chuck key out. It's not fun if that thing, if you leave it in there and it's launched towards your face. So as a matter of safety and just get in the habit of, anytime the chuck key goes in, your hand never leaves it, take it out. All right. Now we're going to put this in. Now you see this shoulder is going to come up here so that when I cut the center on this thing, I won't, it can't be forced back inside the chuck. Okay. Make sure we're seated in there pretty good. And now we're going to cut this part down here. I got it in there pretty tight. Okay.